Hello, my name is Krystal Meldrum and you are on the Create with Krystal YouTube channel. I am excited to teach you how to paint gold. We're going to be doing an amazing scene from a story that I wrote called More Precious Than Gold. And I post videos every Thursday on my YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Ask your questions. Share these videos with all your friends who love art, who love time-lapse paintings. I love to inspire people to be creative.
More Precious Than Gold by Krystal Meldrum. Long, long ago, in a distant land on the edge of Goblin territory, there lived a king and his family in the heart of a great walled city. Under the king and queen's guidance, the kingdom thrived, growing prosperous and powerful, until one season, tempted by the heavy scent of gold and wealth from inside the castle, goblins decided to attack. They laid siege to the city for many months, devouring all the cattle and crops in their path. The people's stores of food dwindled so low that the village was left eating the dogs, cats, and rats. Throughout the siege, the royal family woke together each morning for prayer and diligent study of their sacred text, the ancestor writings. Though worried for the fate of their city, the queen was determined to prepare her children for their future royal duties.
Remember, my young ones,
She told them.
when I am not here, you will always have our forefathers' stories to guide you as you govern the kingdom.
One morning, the prince and princess came to the queen's chamber as usual to read from the ancestor writings, only to find their mother lying pale and sickly in her bed, their father standing over her.
What's wrong?
They cried as they ran to their mother's bedside.
Someone has poisoned our water supply,
Said the king, eyes flashing darkly.
Your mother has fallen ill. I am afraid I am not long for this world.
Their mother said, taking both their hands in hers. Focusing on her son, the queen whispered,
Dear Stephen, your father loves you, and he will do all in his power to help guide and preserve you. But even he will someday go the way of all the earth. Remember, there is a parent that will never leave you. That is God, your heavenly King.
Pausing, she coughed violently.
Son, I give you my prayer pillow. There were times when your father and I prayed so long over the kingdom that our knees were sore.
She wheezed.
So I sewed this cushion, which I now pass to you. My son, God will guide you right if you ask.
She handed him a velvet pillow, which he ran his fingers across the embroidered compass on its surface, weeping silently.
Yes, mother.
With great difficulty, the queen turned to her daughter.
Aniston, I have written my wisest counsel into the ancestor writings, along with the kings and queens of the past. My record is now yours. Study them often, so that their words may guide you.
With tears falling, Princess Aniston opened the record to the front inside cover, where an illuminated compass was inked. Beneath it, in her mother's hand, was a list, titled, Your Compass to Guide the Kingdom. C. Commit to read the ancestors' writings daily. O. Open your mind and heart in prayer to God. M. Meditate upon the writings. P. Ponder the patterns and parallels from the past. A. Apply the teachings to your life. S. Study at the same time, same place. S. Scribe, write down how it applies to yourself and the kingdom.
I will follow this counsel, mother.
Aniston affirmed. The queen relaxed in her husband's arms. With a final look at her beloved, she let out her last breath and closed her eyes. Though weighted down with grief, the king knew he must take action. He gently laid his wife down and turned to his manservant.
Rally the troops. We will attack tomorrow at dawn.
Turning to his children, he took them by the shoulders.
Stephen, Aniston, set up a watch over the city day and night. The safety of our people depends upon you.
That night, hoping to catch the goblins unawares, the king led his army through the city gate, leaving it bolted tight behind them. Solemnly, Stephen and Aniston carried out their duties, organizing the remaining guards into shifts before finally allowing themselves to fall into bed, exhausted. The next morning, Stephen and Aniston awoke to the sound of shattering glass. Leaping out of bed, they ran towards the sound, finding their crown case smashed and emptied. Lying on the velvet cushion was only a few crumbs of gold and a ruby.
How could this happen?
Stephen cried, staring at the crown case in horror. Aniston pressed her lips into a thin line.
Goblins.
With their guards, the prince and princess scoured the castle for clues to discover how the goblins had snuck past their defenses. Finally finding at the back of the castle, where the walls abutted the dark forest, a shallow tunnel almost hidden by shadows of leaves. Stephen paused.
This is where the guards were the weakest. There wouldn't have been enough of them to see the monsters creep in, with all this foliage. I didn't think they would attack by the forest,
Aniston said, biting her lip.
Come,
He said.
We'll reorganize the guards and double the watch. This won't happen again. Wait,
said Aniston, catching him by the wrist before he could leave.
we haven't read the ancestor writings this morning. There's no time.
Stephen said grimly.
We can't leave our defenses vulnerable.
Aniston was still uneasy, but she allowed her brother to drag her away. That night, 4 more goblins crawled into the castle, tearing apart the metal grates in the waterways. Swimming to the dungeon and into the castle, they sniffed for riches until they reached the throne room, drawn by the scent of the king's throne and the glittering royal portraits lining the walls. One of the goblins devoured the arms and crest of gold on the king's throne, while the other gobbled the golden frame holding the portrait of the queen. When the prince and princess awoke the next morning, the 4 creatures had been killed by the guards, but the damage was already done. The throne room was a mess. Their father's throne was dismantled. The ornate wood had been gnawed clean of the gold leaf, like naked chicken bones strewn about a barnyard. Their mother's portrait had been left discarded on the floor, its edges destroyed from gouging bites.
Mother is grieved,
Stephen said, picking up the painting. A spark of guilt warmed its way into his heart. His father would be disappointed that they had failed to keep the goblins from breaching the castle, but his mother would be far more disappointed that they had failed to read the ancestor writings.
We have not done what she asked us to do. Today we must pray and study. I agree,
said the princess. So they withdrew to the parlor, prayed together, and read. They read about a plague that seized the children of the kingdom, causing them to become deathly ill. Many had died, although there was a cure. The journey for the cure was treacherous, that some venturers never returned. One had to gather 7 tubers from the dark forest, which was infested with goblins. A wizard came to the village, selling a healing elixir, which many bought, hoping to cure their children. Some healed, but most died. It was a counterfeit, and grieved the entire kingdom to lose so many of their precious youth. Something in this passage haunted Aniston as she pondered it all day and night. She dreamed of giving goblins a deathly elixir to poison the goblins and rid the kingdom of them forever. Upon awakening, it came to her. She ran to Stephen.
We must find fool's gold. Goblins love gold more than anything. Perhaps if they eat fool's gold, then they will weaken or die. Then we may conquer.
They replaced most of the gold in the treasury with fool's gold, leaving some gold so the scent would still lead the vile creatures to their hoped demise. Aniston and Stephen gathered all the real gold and hid it in the cellar with everyone in the castle, so the scent was disguised. They unlocked the treasury and let the goblins run in through the front gate. The goblins devoured the fool's gold in the treasury and fell into a deep sleep. Whether they were dead or not, we will never know, but the army followed them and slaughtered the gorged sleeping monsters until the kingdom was rid of every last one of them. The army burned their carcasses, freeing their kingdom of the year-long siege. The kingdom rejoiced to be free of the bondage. When the royal family gathered the following morning, the king asked his children how they decided to use fool's gold.
The castle was constantly being breached,
said Stephen.
We were just surviving until we took a moment to study the ancestor writings. Yes, Father,
said the princess.
Mother taught us the importance of pondering what we read. It took time. Finally, the idea came to us. I wrote our experiences down for all to always remember. I am proud of you both.
He hugged them both to his chest.
This is what your mother would wish.